Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Okay. So now, what are you supposed to learn today?
How to solve equations with variables on the same side.
Excellent. Now, we didn't really get through opposite sides yesterday. One reason I'm really psyched about this class today, I was kind of bummed yesterday because we didn't get to equations with variables on both sides. Now, we're going to do it every day for the next 2 weeks, so I'm not worried about it. However, do you know that the class after this, every single day, gets to 4 or 5 more examples than you do? Now, part of the reason is there's less kids in the class. So there's less homeworks to check and less papers to grade. But they're a little more focused than you are. Now, yesterday, I felt for the first time all year, we were really focused as a class. And I think it showed in how well you did on your quizzes. Okay? But let's stay focused. That class's grades on their test were way higher than yours. And I think one of the reasons for that is because they were able to get more work done on any given day. All right, so, the do-its are so important because they let you know if you understand the material you're supposed to understand. If you come in and we go through the do-its on any particular day and you don't get a good grade or you mess up the do-it, you just come to extra help, which will be Monday morning. All right, what's anything to the 0 power except 0 to the 0? 1. Good. Now, we want to evaluate this. What's 5 to the 0? 1. Plus a negative exponent. Sure, good. So that's 1 over 3 to the positive 1, which is 1/3. And 1 plus 1/3 is, well, that I kind of wrote over that, is 1 and 1/3. Okay? So, I would call those 2 questions, they should be very comfortable questions. One of the really cool things about those questions is that you don't have a tremendous amount of reading to do when they ask you to get the question right. Okay, now, the next one is to express the product in scientific notation. And this is like number 6 on today's quiz. You know, I saw a lot of 67s, some 50s, but the 50s went up from like 0s to 20s, so they were okay. And I saw some 84s that improved, and they got this question wrong on the quiz. And I felt bad because they're halfway there. They knew to multiply coefficients. Coefficients are 5 and 7. What's 5 times 7? 35. Then they knew to add exponents. So they did times 10 to the 14. Now, the problem is they left it 35. What's wrong with leaving it 35, Elizabeth? Right, it's not between 1 and 10. So I need to divide by 10 to make it 3.5. And if I divide that by 10, what do I need to do on the other side? Multiply by 10. Good. So now I need to add exponents again, and my final answer is 3.5 times 10 to the 15. You know, I had a lot of jobs when I was young. I was a busboy, I worked as a cook, I worked in kitchens, and I also worked as a butcher. And when I worked as a butcher, my boss, Pete, he used to say to me that I did a really good job as a butcher, but I was an absolute pig. He said, you know, you do this great job. He says, but when I come in after you, it's like a whirlwind of mess all over the place. He said, you know, if I ask you to cut the chicken, cut the pork, cut the beef, I come over, I look where the chicken was cut, the chicken is packaged beautifully, everything looks good, there's a pile of garbage laying there. Then you go on and you do the pork, and then there's a mess after you do the pork. And then you go do the beef, and there's a mess after you do the beef. He says, you just leave a mess everywhere you go. He said, when you're done with a job, you got to clean up the job. So you do the chicken, you clean up the chicken. Then you go over and you do the pork, and then you what? Clean up the pork. Then you go over and do the beef, and then you what? Clean up the beef, and then you're ready for the next thing. The problem, if you got 35 times 10 to the 14th, you're not cleaning up the beef. You're not taking that last step to make sure the job is completely done. The cleanup is part of the job. Got it? Got it?
Yeah.
I say get it, you say got it. Get it?
Got it.
All right, good. Next one. Is this a same side situation? Remember by same side we mean of the equal sign. Are those variables on the same side or are they on opposite sides?
Same side.
Same side?
Same side.
That stunk. Same side?
Same side.
Same operation. Same side?
Same operation.
One more time, loudly, proudly, with a whole lot of vigor. Same side?
Same operation.
Good. So these ends are on the same side, so just do what it says. What's 6 ends minus 3 ends? Who said 2 ends?
3 ends.
3 ends. Plus 4 equals 13. Now, this is going to lead us toward something we're going to learn in a minute. But I want you to know you've been doing it all along without giving it a formal title. Do you see how these numbers are on opposite sides of the equal sign, this little wall going down here? When they're on opposite sides, you do opposite operation. Jimmy, head in the game. I'm going to say opposite side, you're going to say opposite operation. Opposite side?
Opposite operation.
So this says what kind of 4? Positive 4, so you're going to do the negative 4. Die. 3n equals 9. Divide by 3. N equals 3. Okay? Now, that was a kind of question that we covered yesterday. Look, we're doing the work. That's why you're struggling, right? We're doing the head in the game. Now, next one. Take a good look at the original question A versus the original question B. Here's my little wall, okay? I noticed that they both have 2 variables and they both have 2 numbers. But are these equations exactly alike? No, why not? Let's go, Rena.
Because they're on opposite sides.
Yeah, now the H's and the numbers are both on opposite sides from each other. God bless them. We need to get them, when they're on opposite sides, what do? Guys, opposite side? Opposite operation. So, you always start with the smaller number of H's. What's the smaller number, 5H or 3H? 3H. This was the thing we didn't get through yesterday. So this was a positive 3H, always peaking in front. So I put minus and I put minus. Now, what's 5H's minus 3H's? 2H's. I did not touch the minus 1, it's still there. Equals danger, danger, danger. What kind of 15? Negative. Now I got to add 1 to both sides because now, again, just like the H's were on opposite sides, now the numbers are on opposite sides and we do inverses. 2H equals negative 14, divided by 2. What is negative 14 divided by 2? It's not 7. Negative 7. It's negative because we started negative, we divided by a positive, so we keep that sign. So H is equal to negative 7. And that is as far as you should understand with equations at this point in time. It's extremely important that you understand when to use each technique, whether it's time to use same side, same operation, or opposite side, opposite operation. You know, I taught wrestling for a really long time. And in wrestling, there's a couple of possibilities that your opponent, you get on top, you break them down. Sometimes they leave their arms out. If they leave their arms out, you want to come up under the arm, put pressure on the head, or you want to bar the arm. Either way, you can work some moves off of this guy to pin him. If he clams up and he puts his arms in, you might want to come in and work a cross-face cradle. So the top guy trying to pin the guy, it's based on what the bottom guy does. If the bottom guy has his arms out like this, and you try for, well, let's say he's like this, and you try to put a half Nelson in, you can't. Because it can't come under that arm. There's no room to get under there. You have to wait for some opening to go in there. You got to create space. When you do that, then you can beat the guy with a half Nelson. Likewise, with equations, you should be looking, instead of, obviously a wrestler's looking at where his arms are, you should be looking at where the variables are. Are the variables on the same side? If so, we do the same operation. Clark, head in the game. Are the variables on opposite sides? If so, we do the opposite operation. But if you try to do opposites here, if you did plus 3n and plus 3n, you're wrong. If you try to do same sides here and write 8h, you're wrong. So you have to learn to use the right technique at the right time. Everybody thinks in wrestling, it's the strongest kid that wins. It's not. It's the quickest kid that wins. Because the kid that does the right move first is the kid that is a step ahead and he's going to win the match. If he doesn't do the right move first, he's going to lose. Okay, so let's go to these questions. All right, so the purpose of today is just to review what we worked on yesterday. So we're going to focus on whether it's same side or opposite side and go through the same exact work. Take a look at the first one. Is that a same side situation or is that an opposite side situation? Everybody. So therefore we do the? That's stunk. Same side?
Same operation.
Very good. Now, since these guys, the 5n and the negative 2n are on the same side, what is 5n's minus 2n's? 3n plus 8 is negative 7. Do you know what is so great about doing equations? It's the same thing every time. I can't like fool you with fancy word problems. It's direct, it's forward, it's exactly the same time after time after time. So if you just put your time in to learn the techniques, it will pay off in the long run. Now, are these numbers, the 8 and the negative 7, are they on the same side or on opposite sides? Opposite sides. Since they're on opposite sides, you do opposite operation. So I go minus 8, minus 8. Die. 3n equals. Now, this is where all of that work from last chapter comes into play. And this is why, by the way, if I might say, the relearn packets are so important. See, if you don't understand, Jimmy, look at me. If you don't understand some of the work from last chapter, you will get this chapter wrong, even though you understand this chapter. I mean, honestly, what's so hard about same side, opposite side? There's nothing hard about it. But you know where kids mess up? Watch me now. Here's 7 negatives and 8 negatives. What is that all together? 15 negatives. That's last chapter's work. And if you don't go do that relearn packet, which is why I want it done, and learn it for the right time, if you don't learn it correctly, then you will get chapter 2 wrong. You're going to fail the next test. But if you go back and learn that material over again, not only does your first grade go up, but now this test you do better on. That's why I said early in the year, some kids have to do a bunch of relearn packets. But as the year goes on, all of these little mistakes get straightened out, and everything else they learn, they get really good at. All right, so 3n is negative 15. Now I'm going to divide by 3. N is negative 5. Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Is this, notice I ask myself this question every single time I do a question. Is this a same side or an opposite side situation? Everybody? That's stuff. What was that? Everybody? What is it? Same side or opposite side? Opposite side. Opposite side? Opposite operation. So, I always start with the smaller x's. 2x is small. What kind of 2x is this? Is it positive or negative? So I got to do negative. That's the opposite part. 4x minus 2x is 2x. Minus 1 equals 9. Now, the negative 1 and the 9 are on opposite sides, so what do? Opposite operation. So, I do plus 1, God bless. 2x equals 10, divide by 2, x equals 5. And there's my correct answer. Yes?
What would happen if you started the back and looked that way?
God bless it. Very quickly, because I don't want to go too nuts on this. You would get negative 10, then you subtract the 4x, you get negative 2x. And negative 10 divided by negative 2 is still positive 5. It's just, you know what stops that? Remember that step I said always start with the smaller number of x's? That stops that where you get the negative divided by the negative. All right, so that's why we do it, because I want to avoid negatives at all costs. Okay? All right, that's a very good question. Try numbers 3 and 4. Go ahead. For what?
Get on the elevator.
4.
I'm flying. I just went to physical therapy and they had to rate, they had to put my hip back in place.
Well, here's what the bottom line is. You came to class, what, 5 minutes late?
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit more?
sure.
Okay, and now you're leaving 5 early. It's just hard to learn like that. You know? So, you can go, obviously, but I just want to make sure you learn. I don't want you to fail. You're not doing cheerleading, right? Okay, look for that same side, look for the opposite side. Come on, Mr. Zicke, keep working back there, bud. All right, come on, let's go. Is that a same side or an opposite side situation? those Y's on the same side of that equal sign, or are they on opposite sides? What, are you kidding me? There's the equal sign. Y, Y, Y. Are they on the same side or the opposite side? Sure, so how many Y's do you have altogether? Add them up. What do you got? You got 7 Y's plus another Y plus another Y. How many Y's is that altogether? Why? Look, if I had $7 and a dollar and a dollar, how many dollars would I have? So if I have 7 Y's and a Y and a Y, what do I have? 7 Y's, 1 Y, 1 Y. What do we got, buddy? 7, 1, 1, 11? Yes, very good. 9Y minus 11 equals 8. Keep going. Okay. So, as I think you overheard me talking with Jimmy here, these Y's are on the same side. Okay, listen, add them, subtract, you get a really ugly answer like 20 over 9. And the other one would be 3x plus 15x is 5. Now we've gone over them. Keep working it, guys. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos y amigas. Cheerio. Ta-ta. Toodaloo. I just put them in the drawer in the back. I just put them there 2 minutes ago. When I walked to the back and picked on Jimmy, that's what I was doing. All right? Yes. All right, do me a favor. Ask me during lunch.
Okay.
All right? I want to get this fired up and on the internet.